Hey guys, it's Greg Alba sitting here talking to you today.
And I'm John, sitting here talking to you today.
Syfy wanted us to check out a show that's called Hunters. Alright, so I want to tell you guys that yes, they did ask us to check this out. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was like, alright, I'll watch it because they're asking us to. I wasn't expecting to honestly walk away like, I'm really going to enjoy this. I saw reviews for it on Rotten Tomatoes, and I was listening to some of the critics' reviews, and it sounds like they were basing it off of the first episode. And I gotta say, like, by the time you get to the second episode, like, the first episode really felt like a pilot to me.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the second episode really establishes the show in a much better way. Visually, it looks great. The practical effects are great. The writing improved. The acting, like, it really felt like after they got the show picked up, that they really improved the show a lot more.
Once the second episode rolls around, anything that stood out in your mind is like, oh, that's a little rough, or like, oh, this is a cool idea, but, you know, by the second episode, you're like, oh, they addressed all those things. And this is interesting because, like, there's a lot of high-concept stuff on network TV and things like that. There are a lot of different shows with interesting, vaguely sci-fi concepts, but this show does seem like it's interested in the science of its science fiction. So you're learning about what the hunters are and what their capabilities are. And there's a heavy use of like sound in this show, both as, you know, in the actual way that you hear it, but also as a property of their world. Like, you know, things that emit sound and the effects sounds have on things like are a big part of the show. And that's a cool, you know, area to explore. You know, they've got these, like, guns that shoot, you know, these blasts of sonic energy and things like that. The way they also develop their, I guess they're aliens, these alien creatures, is awesome, and that leads right into the practical effects that they use in the show, because that was one of the first things that struck me, is they use a ton of practical effects. They look awesome. Like, you know, it's refreshing to see that, and especially if you're a fan of effects. There's some really cool design work and, you know, some gooey, you know, gore moments and stuff like that.
You know, we're having a conversation, right?
Sure, man.
I mean, you're just like,
why not?
You just like covered so much of the review. We don't want to give away any spoilers now. Where am I really going to go with this? Where am I really going to go with this? Fortunately, the show has a lot more than just that. Okay. See how I did that? I think the visual look of it is fantastic. Gail Ann Hurd, one of the producers of this show, is also one of the producers of The Walking Dead. And you said there's the Terminator films she's been involved with too.
Oh yeah, she's been involved with a lot of stuff, but those are the two like big ones.
Yeah, so she's really, you know, she has a good track record. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but here, I'm gonna see what they said on IMDb as the plot to make sure. I don't want to give anything away. The disappearance of a decorated FBI agent's wife leads into a secret government unit assembled to hunt a group of ruthless terrorists. Shadow figures that may or may not be from this world.
Oh man.
No, it's cool because it's like a show where they're like hunting down terrorists, but it looks like there's some alien stuff involved, you know?
Yeah, and I like what sci-fi does in that regard, because that's what science fiction kind of does,
exactly.
is takes the world around and, you know, sort of tries to explain it or tries to touch it using these, you know, more heightened or more metaphorical or more theoretical, you know, elements, and I like that they're doing that.
And this show takes time to do like social political stuff as well. Mm-hmm. You know, they deal a lot with, you know, it's not like the racism kind of becomes like a theme in there too.
Oh yeah.
And it's an interesting approach, you know, from the alien perspective. It's a great approach. Like even in the first episode, the villain of it gives like this speech, and they're doing a montage over it. And I was like, this is a cool villain. And when they get to the second episode, I'm like, this is a really good actor.
Yeah, well, there's some strange little nuances to his character that are really cool, and they start to make sense in a subtle way. The
main character, Nathan Phillips, plays Flynn. At first, you know, I was watching it with you. I was having a hard time, like, you know, really getting into his character. But in the second episode, I was like, you know what? He's got like a soft-spoken voice that can get tough in a way, you know? There's something about it, the way he comes across, where I'm like, there's a unique kind of charm to what he's doing, you know? And his like commitment to the genre is really cool.
He's still, you know, like the lead in this kind of TV series where he is kind of handsome and rugged, but, you know, he looks...
Not in the most obvious way.
But yeah, in a little bit more of a way that seems... In a way that seems a little more authentic, and also just like it fits this world.
Exactly.
Know? It's not, you know, you turn on a lot of other like network television shows and you're like, wow, these people are super sexy.
Yeah.
and they're doing this work, where I'm sort of just mostly following along with the story here.
There's this other character in there that you see in the first episode that they're probably going to give more focus to her. Her name's Regan?
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 Yeah.
Regan! I don't want to give anything away about her character, but if you just at least stick around for the second episode, she becomes like, you know, I'm like, that's a cool character to have in a show.
Oh yeah, she's
you know, like that's a cool thing to have in a show. You guys got to watch it to find out what I mean, but it is something where I'm like, that's a female character. That's on the action part of the show as well that I can really get on board for.
Well, yeah, and the action, see, the thing about this show is it kind of reminds me of, it has the visual luster of like a BBC kind of a show, but when it gets violent, you know, like, gets pretty like pulpy, like in a fun way. I get this sense that Syfy's kind of embraced the sort of exploitation roots of some of their original stuff, and have translated it really nicely here,
yeah, because like when it gets violent, especially with its like practical effects, it gets violent. Like, yeah, it doesn't hold back. It's shot in like in a really cool way too. Yeah, that don't hold back on the violence. There's some moments where you're like, whoa,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like especially there's that one. I'm gonna whisper it to you.
Yeah,
that was a pretty whoa moment. There are times where it's like kind of scary, you know, like especially in the second. There's a really strong moment I remember where I was like, I was genuinely hooked by that right there, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, because it does kind of combine all these things, and because it's a cable show too, they can kind of go all out with certain stuff. The whole bedrock is this kind of sci-fi idea. And then when they're, you know, doing the actual, like, procedural work, you know, like going in to find things or investigate, like, it gets kind of scary. And then the gore effects and stuff back that up, too, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And the action, you know, is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, the gore effects play a big part, too, in a lot of the action scenes. And they have, like, those guns that are, like, sonar or whatever, or, like...
Yeah, they shoot, like sound blasts.
Sound blasts. Yeah. I want to use one of those sound blasts right now on my neighbor downstairs. Because for some reason they think it's cool to blast your music.
Yeah.
About to become a hunter. It's not even used in the right context, is it?
No.
No.
The show's got a lot of cool ideas, you know, I like the cast and stuff like that. And over the first 2 episodes, you could see it starting to dig in and take form. So, you know, there's enough that I want to check out the third one. You know. Early on in the show, you kind of just got to set everything up, and I think they finally got their setup.
Yeah, I feel like, before I was like, I don't know where this show's going, and it seems kind of like, is this going to be episodic or serial?
Yeah.
And then, you know, but the second episode really shows, like, especially with the way it ends, I love the way the second episode ended.
Yeah. This seems like the kind of thing that could get really cool over the course of the season, you know, like especially once it opens up to breathe.
Yeah, to see an improvement so much from the first to the second episode shows that these guys know how to improve. Anyway, guys, yeah, the first episode has already premiered. By the time this video's out, maybe the second episode will have premiered. Make sure to tune in on Mondays, 10, 9 Central on Syfy. And you can visit their official website, Syfy, that's syfy.com/hunters. Yeah. It's a very huntastic show.
Yeah. It's pretty huntastic.
For this channel, you can subscribe today and become a reject. John has a playlist on this channel, Reasons to Jerry. And that music in the background is his theme song. And he also knows how to turn off his phone before filming a video.
You've done that so many times.
It's different when I do it.
It is, because you're
What? What am I?
In control.
Yes. That is what I was going for. And he has Dank Stubs, a podcast hosted by his voice. Oh, look, his phone again.
Always.
You know, combined with the phone and that music outside, I think the phone is actually louder.
Because it's right here.
Isn't that interesting?
Relativity, yeah.
It's an interesting
scientific concept.
Yeah. It's very, it's profound. Oh, there it goes again.
Oh, sorry. I'll turn it off.
No, it's okay. Let's cut the camera.
No. I'm going to make sure everybody knows this shit is off.
We're not filming another video after this. We could turn off the camera.